Welcome. This is Dave Martin. I'm the author of the book Commercial Drawing Using Autodesk Revit 2015, and this is the first tutorial that you'll be doing for the commercial building layout. So we're starting with tutorial number 1. And before we begin, we're going to go ahead and create a folder system for our project. So what I've done already is I'm working off of a flash drive here, but of course you can work off hard drive if you wish. It doesn't matter. Bottom line is you need to keep track of your files during this project or a sequence of projects, tutorials. So I've made a folder called Commercial Project, and then what I'm going to do here is create a new folder, and we'll create a couple of folders here. So we're going to do 3 subfolders, one called Families, and then the next one will be called Image Files. This will be where we put our renderings. This will happen near the end of the project in the last tutorial. And then finally PDF files. So at the end of this you'll also create a PDF file of your portfolio. We'll just call this PDF files. And then we'll leave our Revit drawing files right on the main folder. There's no need to make a subfolder for that. So we first need to download the Revit families off the website. So unlike other books, we didn't put the files on a CD that came with the book. Instead, we put them on a website, so this way if they get updated, you get the most up-to-date version of the family files. So I've already opened up Google Chrome, which is what I use. You can use whatever web browser you like, and we'll go to instantrevit.com, which is the website for the book. And of course this website's always changing. I'm the one that maintains the site, so I'm constantly going in and trying to make it better. So you might see something different, but these links over on the left will always be there. So we're going to go to Support Files, and then we have Revit Family Files link, and then a Portfolio link and Commercial Portfolio link. So later on we'll look at this Commercial Portfolio so you can compare the projects that you're doing to what I finished up when I did the Commercial Portfolio. And then there's also a link to the videos. In fact, you should have already have accessed this video through the GCC video site, and that may change in the future. I may just have it linked right on this page. So just be flexible. We're always changing the website and the book to make it better. So this is always going to be updated. Anyway, so let's click on Revit Family Files. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on Commercial Book Families Zipped File. So this way I can download all the files at one time. So I'm waiting for Google Docs to open up. And then here's all the different family files. This is actually in a zip file, which will download as one file and then extract. So I'm going to hit the little download link up here at the top. So now I should see the file up here at the bottom left corner. And this was a lot faster in rehearsal. Okay, and here we have the commercial family zip file. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it to open it, and there's all the files. So then I'll just go ahead and extract it. You can see here I already tried this once before. So I'm going to extract all. This is just a standard zip file, and we'll just extract it into the same place. Okay. There it goes. There's about 14 files. And then I'm just going to take all these files and I'm going to copy them over to my families folder that I just created. So I'm just going to select all these, right click copy. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. You can always pause the video and rewind it if you wish. And then I'm going to go ahead and close these windows up, and I'll minimize Google, and then we'll go into families, right click paste. So now this is where we'll access all the different family files we need for the commercial project. And there may be more required down the road, but this should get you through the entire project. Okay, so we're good to go here. So let's go ahead and go into Revit. I've already started the program. So this is the 2015 of Autodesk Revit, and we're going to start with a brand new project. So we've already done the starting the tutorial section of tutorial number 1. So we're going to go ahead and start a brand new drawing file called Commercial Default. Actually, we're not done with starting the tutorial. We're on step 4 right now. So let's go ahead and hit the new button under Projects, and then we'll go to Browse, and then we're going to go to Commercial Default. So this is the template file that we're going to use to start up a new project. This has all the preloaded wall families, other families that we need for the project. So we're going to hit OK. And we're waiting for it to load. I'm going to pause this while it loads. Okay, we're back here. The reason why I paused it is because I found that the template files that come with the 2015 version of Revit are still 2014 versions. At least mine are. So every time you start a brand new file, it's going to have to upgrade the file to the current version. So just keep that in mind. You can avoid that in the future by going in and opening up the template file and then saving it as a 2015 version, and then that way it won't happen again. But for us, this is probably the last time we'll be using the default template. Instead, as we progress through this project, we're going to use the previous version. So what I'm going to start with is saving this file as our first tutorial. So I'm going to make sure I hit Project. Some students hit Template by mistake, and then they wind up with a brand new template file, not a project file. So just be aware of that. So hit Project, and then we're going to go ahead and set up our path to the flash drive under Commercial Project. So you're going to start seeing projects appear in this area as we progress through this book. So I'm going to call this one CL for Commercial Lesson 1-1. Then I'll hit Save. So this is the very first file that we're going to start with. Okay, good. Alright, so it's doing its thing here. Great, so now we're ready to start with CL1-1. So the first tutorial has us adding grids and levels. So in commercial projects we see a lot of grids where we can use grids to help us to align elements like walls and so forth. So we're already in the level 1 view. Okay, in fact we're going to go ahead and rename this in a moment here, but for now I can start drawing on the level 1 view. In the book it has open the first floor view, but we're going to use level 1 instead. So we're going to start with the grids. So let's go to the grid command. It's in the architecture ribbon, datum panel, and then grid. So we're going to draw all our elements inside here. And then these little markers, of course, well, maybe you don't know this, so I'm not going to assume you do, but these markers are elevation markers. So if we want to see an elevation view of our project, we just can click on one of these arrows here. We have north, south, east, and west elevation. Okay, so on the next page we have a layout of our grids. So I'm just going to start by adding a grid across. There we are. Then I'll turn on the other bubble as I go. Then I'll add a second grid. You'll notice I'm not too concerned about where these grids are winding up. I just want to get them on the screen because later I'm going to use the dimensioning tools to locate them. So I'm just kind of getting the rough layout here, the rough layout of the grids. So I'm basing this all off of the page in the lab manual where it shows you the grids. So we have a total of 6 grid lines, so I need one more here. There we are. Good. Okay. Actually, I don't need to turn on that bubble, do I? Alright, so now we have our grids. So our next step is to go ahead and match up the letters and numbers for what we have in the tutorial. So I've already, the horizontal grids are already correct, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off this bubble for 2 and then I'm going to unlock the line. So we have a little padlock that pops up. You're going to see these padlocks quite a bit. So I'm just going to pop that one right about there. And then we're going to change this grid just by clicking on the grid line and then clicking on the text. And we're going to change that to letter A. You'll see that both bubbles change because they're all one grid line. And then this one will be B, and finally C. So this initial setup phase is pretty important, because if you don't set up the grids correctly, then your building's going to be incorrect, and then you'll have to go back and try it all over again. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add some dimensions here to help control our grids. So I'll go up to Annotate and Aligned. Aligned works a whole lot better because you can click an element rather than just a single point. So I'm going to click on Aligned, and then I'll draw a dimension from grid A to grid C. And then I'll go ahead and match up what I have in the book. So we'll add in another dimension between 1 and 2. Don't worry about the spacing for now. That's going to be updated as we go. And then I'll go ahead and hit 1 to 3. And then we need a chain of dimensions from A to B to C. See how these are all chained together? So we have the dimensions added. Oh, I need one more. And actually, this is a great opportunity to show you how to do edit witness lines if you haven't done that before. It's a huge help. So I'm going to click on this dimension. I need to add in one more from grid 2 to grid 3. So I'm going to click on Edit Witness Lines. And then you can see here how we have a continuing dimension. So I'll click on 3. And then you have to remember to click out an open space. I used to forget that, and after about 20 or 30 times, I was finally able to remember to do that so that I didn't have to start over. So if you hit Escape right now, it's just going to go back to the way it was before. So I'm going to click out here in open space. Great. Okay, so now whenever you modify an element or location using this method, you need to click on the element. Don't click on the dimension. So this needs to be 70 feet 8 inches. So I'm going to click here on A. You can see here the dimension is turned blue. So I'll type in the new value, 78. So it's 70 space 8. You don't need the foot and inch symbol. And then you can see here how A is moved. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag these grids out also. Okay. Now let's modify the vertical. So I'll click on grid line 1. I could have clicked on 3 also. It doesn't really make a difference here, at least not yet. So this will become 61 foot 4. Great. Okay. No need to lock these yet. And then for the remainder of these, down here we have grid line B. Now here is where it matters. We don't want to click on grid line A and move that one. We want to keep this at 70 foot 8. So I'm going to click on B instead because this is the grid I want to move. So basically the rule of thumb here is to click what you want to change location of. So this will become 45.4. That gives us 25.4 for the B to C. And then finally this will become 20 feet. So I'm going to click on grid line 2. And that changes that one between 1 and 2 to 41.4. Okay. So now that we've had the grids all set up, what I'm going to do next is increase the scale just for a while until we progress through the project a little further. This allows us, whoops, went the wrong way. This allows us to see the dot or the text a little bigger. There we go. So I'm using 3/32 to 1 foot. Great. All right. So now what we need to do is set up the levels. So we're going to go to the south elevation view. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. And also this might not be a bad idea, or it might be a good time rather, to move these markers so they're around the building. So this way our elevation views will show up correctly. So this will be the base for our building here. And then you can verify this by clicking once on this arrow, and you can see the blue line which represents the front clip plane. So this is our south elevation. So I'm going to double click on the arrowhead. This will take me to the south elevation. So you can see here my grids have popped up now. Then I have my markers off here to the right. Okay, so let's zoom in on this, and then we'll take a look in the book and see what we have to change. So our top grid, actually let's start with level 1. So we're going to go ahead and click on level 1 twice, not double click, but just click twice. And then I'm going to type in the new name for the level. So we're going to call this one first floor. And then it's going to ask, do you want to rename, would you like to rename the corresponding views? Hit yes. Good. And then continuing on, we'll change top of footing. We're going to rename this to read top of footer. And then we'll change the height to -1 foot. So we're going to bring it up a few feet here. Good. If it overlaps, don't worry about it. And then we don't need a bottom of footing level. So I'm just going to highlight that and delete. And it's just warning me that the view will be deleted also, which is fine with me. So I'm going to hit OK. And then let's work our way up a little bit. So this is our roof level. This will be changed to top of roof. So I'll type in t.o.roof. And then we'll set the height to 15 feet. So this will be the top of the cast in place concrete walls that we're going to be adding here shortly. And then we need to add in a few more levels. So you have a couple of choices here. You can either duplicate an existing level, or you can go to the level tool. So we're going to go back to architecture, and then I'm going to go to the datum panel and click on level. So we'll do it this way. And I'm going to start over here on the far left and drag right. Later on we'll move all these in place. Okay. And we'll do the same thing for the ceiling level. So we'll start over here. I'm just going to place this a few feet below top of roof. There we are. Okay, I got pretty close. So level 3 will change to read ceiling. So this will be the level that we use to locate the acoustic tile. And then we'll set that to 10 even. And then finally level 2, which will become top of wall, we'll set that to 18 feet. I think I misspoke earlier. I said this would be the top of the cast in place wall. I meant to say this one. This is actually the top of the roof, the flat roof that we're going to be placing on the building. So top of wall gets a height of 18 feet. Great. Okay. So that pretty much covers us for levels. If you would like to keep this from happening, what you can do is click on the level line for top of footer, and then there's a small squiggle here that you can move, or actually not a squiggle, but just move the handles down and over, or the elbows they call them, I believe. There. So now we don't have this overlap happening. And then we're going to move in the level markers so that they're right next to the grids. And then we'll take these and move them over as well. And this is something you'll have to do eventually, but you should go to each of the elevation views and do the same thing that I just did with the south. So I'm going to do that too. So I'm going to go to east now. Okay, so now I'm in the east elevation. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to also turn on the little brake here, just like I had to do in the other view. There. Then I'll just click on one of the levels and I'll drag it by the handle. So now we're going to drag over the other end of the levels. Now this is also going to move levels in other views, so just be aware that if you pull these in too close, it may move the other levels in the wrong way. So now let's go to north. Kind of see that result right now. So I'll drag these back out a little bit. So the thing is, just don't worry about the left-hand side, only adjust the right-hand side. So you keep the frustration level down. South is still correct. And finally, west. There we are. So it takes a little bit of doing, but it's worth it. Great. Okay, so now we have all 4 elevations set up. So our next step now is to go to the top of roof view. Now in the book it has you create a plan view, but since we dragged or created a brand new level rather than just copying an existing level, we don't need to do that. But if you did, you would notice that these target symbols, some of them may be black. So if they're black, it means there's no view over here in the floor plans area associated with it. So I'm going to skip that step. You can see here that we have all the levels we need. So now we're ready to move on to CL1-2. So I'm going to go ahead and end here, and then our next video will pick up with CL1-2. So we'll see you for the next video.